So, welcome to my very flowery kitchen right now. So, how's your Sunday going? I'm on my second cup of tea and a coffee. So, we're going to make something sweet today. The reason you're looking at all these things is because we're going to make something very new, even for me. Normally, I make pancakes, but this time we're going to try something called as Dutch pancakes, which needs just a little bit of prep. But we're going to see how that goes. So if it fails and is a massive flop today, we've learned something and we can come back and make it again next time. Um, so welcome to Food Hoodgie's kitchen and live from the kitchen, as you can see from all this flour. So what we're going to do is a couple of things actually. So when you're making these yourselves, there are a few things that you need to kind of plan in advance. The first thing being is that the ingredients you're going to need and the prep you're going to have to make regarding them. So let's talk a little bit about that, shall we? I need a bigger counter space. I need more counters rather. Right. So you can see here. Let's move my blender. You don't need to see that. Right. So obviously, as you know, this is a vegan channel, a vegetarian channel. So with that in mind, we're going to be cooking with an egg replacement. This is flaxseed powder, and this is called a flax egg. So what you're going to need to do that is, you might be familiar with them already. These are flax seeds, or also called as linseed. These are golden ones. You can buy brown ones too. There's absolutely no difference in the taste. The only thing that is different is that the color that it produces. So I tend to buy the golden ones because then you can put it into baking and it's not going to color your food, or it's not going to give it a different color when you don't want it to. So what I do with that is, some people roast it. I tend to keep it simple and not, because there's already enough things to do. So I take my flax seed and put it in my blender. Make sure that you pulse it, because you don't want to kind of make it into it releasing its oil and a paste. So you want to keep on pulsing till you get pretty much fine enough paste. There is still, I mean, you can get it finer, but this is fine. This is fine. need more words for this, I think. Adjectives. Anyway, so what we normally use when we're replacing the egg in any type of this cooking is that you're going to need 1 tablespoon of flaxseed powder to 3 tablespoons of water. And here I've got 3 flax eggs. So 3 tablespoons of flaxseed powder to 9 tablespoons of, that took a while, didn't it? It is a Sunday morning. To 9 tablespoons of water. And you want to do this before you start, because you want it to get really gelatinous and absorb the water. And that's very important. So that's one of the things that you need to do. So the first thing, flaxseed water, make the flax eggs, set it aside. Second thing you're going to want to do is take any milk that you've got. I'm obviously using a plant-based milk. This is an almond milk. I don't know if you can see from here, but it's slightly curdled. So what I've done to that is I've got, for this, you're going to need 1.5 cups. We might need to use a little bit more. Like I said, I'm just trying out this recipe. Don't ask me why I'm trying it out live on YouTube, but hey, really, I just want to try it because I figured if we try this now and if it works out, that's great. Otherwise, we can tweak it next time round. It's a fun learning lesson. So this is not gin. This is apple cider vinegar that I've just decanted into a bottle. This is the organic one. I buy it in like a big container. I can't remember. I think this is the Biona one. So it's like a 5 litre. Is it 5 litres? Yes, it is. and it does last you a very long time. I do share it with my friends, so it's not me using all of that, but I use it in a lot of my cooking as well. So this is that, and it's organic, and it's got what they call as the mother. Can you see at the bottom there? Which has got all the goodness in it. So if you're going to have apple cider vinegar, that's the kind of one you want. So you're going to need, for every cup of milk that you have that's plant-based, it would work with dairy milk too. Any acid that you add to milk is obviously going to curdle it. So I put in 2 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar. There's chia seeds on my hand there. Then pour it in, and it's very important that you put it in and then give it a stir clockwise. You don't want to, like, you know, do all of this. Just be very methodical and do that. Set that aside. So those are the first 2 things you're going to need to do. Okay. So the rest is all pretty much plain and simple. You're going to need something to sweeten it. I don't really want to add sugar, but you can add powdered sugar. I'm putting in around 2 tablespoons. We might need more depending, but I'm just going to start with 2 because that's what I go with when I make my pancakes, because usually we tend to add more maple syrup on top of our pancakes. So 2 tablespoons of that maple syrup. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Make sure that it's an extract and not a flavor, because the extract means that it's exactly that, it's pure. You can buy the paste. Paste is really nice too. I find it easier with the liquid, but I think, no. So yeah, I prefer the liquid form of that. And traditionally in the Dutch pancakes, they put in nutmeg and cinnamon. I don't have any nutmeg right now, so I'm going to go with this mixed spice, which does have nutmeg in it. And that's all you're going to need. And in terms of the flour that you're going to use, I tend to put in a bit of spelt flour. So that's why I'm having a few doubts as to how much it's going to rise. And basically, a Dutch pancake is cooked inside of a cast iron pan, a really hot cast iron pan. And what you're going to do, actually, let me show you. That reminds me, that's the other thing you're going to need to prep, which is you're going to get your cast iron pan, like so, and you're going to get that, you're going to put in 2 tablespoons of butter, coconut oil. I used this vegan naturally butter, it's so nice, and there's 2 tablespoons in there. It's been in the oven at 205 degrees, and it's been there for about 15 minutes. You want it to be really, really hot. I can feel it through my gloves as well. So that's what you're going to do. That's why it's called a Dutch oven, because, you know, it's the pan itself, and it's got nothing to do with it being Dutch. Apparently it originates from Germany. Putting that back in, don't want it to cool down. So those are the 3 prep things that you need to make sure you've done before: the flax eggs, the milk to curdle it, and the oven preheated for 200 degrees, let's say, and with your pan in there for at least 5 to 10 minutes, so you know that it's really hot. And your butter or your oil, if it's oil, it's fine, but if you're putting in the butter, it will brown. So if you're putting in real butter, you might want to put in a little bit later. So heat your pan, then add the butter about 5 minutes before. Let's go on to the flour. So with the flour, you are going to use plain flour, but I just want to make it a little bit healthy, so I'm putting in spelt flour. If you've never used spelt flour before, you can get it in the shops. I bought the wholemeal, generally tend to. You can buy the white one too, so it's not, doesn't have all those bits in it. So maybe when you're replacing this for replacing plain strong white flour for this, the white flour might be a good start to begin with. But this is really nice. It tastes nutty, like they say, as opposed to using the plain white flour. And I will be using that too, because my kids can tell the difference when I make it really healthy. And also with this dish, if everything is very heavy and you're not using plain flour, it might not rise as much. So let's give that a go. So plain flour as well, so I'm mixing the two. You need to make sure that you sift the flour. So either with one of these things, which is really therapeutic. And what you will find is that all the bran of the whole grain ends up here. So you could, if you didn't want to use it in this, you could take that out, but I'm literally just going to add it back in. And the reason you're sifting the flour is to make it light and airy. Now, I'm really not a baker, and also I've spread flour everywhere. Right. Okay. To this, I'm going to be adding, let me just, so this is 1 teaspoon. So I'm adding around half a teaspoon. Oh, this smells like Christmas. And then you're going to need, which I've lost, you're going to need some baking powder. Baking powder. That's what's going to make it rise too. So to go with this, we're going to make some, where's my whisk? To go with these pancakes, we're going to, give that a mix, we're going to make some jam, berry jam. And we're going to add, I'm going to go with just 2 teaspoons. So again, I'm going to put this through the sieve because it's a bit lumpy. 1, 2. Okay. And you can see that it's really lumpy. Put to this flour now, we've added the baking powder, pinch of salt. Should do it like that, Salt Bay, shouldn't I? Right. What we're going to do is make a tiny bit of a well for all of our liquid to go. You need to remember that once you add your liquid, it's going to activate the baking powder in there. So it's going to start fizzing. Once it does that, we have very little time to kind of get going because we want to put it into the pan as soon as possible then. Right, so we need a little bit of fat. And actually, I might just add the vegan butter instead of the olive oil. That might be a smarter option to do. Okay, so as we melt that butter, that's about 2 tablespoons worth there because we need a little bit of fat in that to hold all the gluten together. You've got the milk that's curdled, and then we're going to add the vanilla now because I usually forget. So this is an eyeball measurement. Right, I'm melting that butter. I think that should just melt in that residual heat there. Okay. So yeah, what we're going to do is with these pancakes, normally what they do is have it in the pan itself, and then you have it with a little bit of, you either have it with fresh berries or jam, you can have it with anything, to be honest. Nearly there. And also, with regards to flax seeds, they're great for your health. They're great for hormone balancing. They're really good because there's a good amount of fiber in there. They're generally really good for you. I'm sure if you check up on Mr. Google, you will see that has a lot of health benefits. They do recommend that you have at least 1 to 2 tablespoons, I think at least 1 every day. And because it's so bland in its taste, you can incorporate it into anything. So in we go with the butter, then with I'll make sure all the butter is in there. So that has gone in. Let's pour this in. Okay. And then the flax eggs go in too. So let's get rid of all of this stuff. We don't need that. So give it a stir. Now you're going to go in with your milk. Can you see that? It's all curdled. So essentially what you've done is you've made buttermilk out of your milk. And that's why when you have American pancakes, they're so fluffy because they use buttermilk. And even muffins too. They're so fluffy, but they're also really moist. Right, I don't want to give it a huge... You can also, which is better to do, is put it all in a blender. But I figured there's another, if we have time, and I don't take too long making these, I thought we could make a really cheeky pudding. I say it's really cheeky because you can actually have it as a pudding, serve it to your friends, or you can have it as breakfast, and it's a really tasty one. It's got a lot of protein in it, and you know I'm going to say tofu. Yes, it's a tofu pudding, so I'm hoping that we will have some time so that I can show you that, and that's going to be using the blender too. So you want to make sure that it's not too lumpy, so that's why the blender is a good thing. And when you make it with, when you make it as a dairy and egg version, the more eggs you put in, the more it's going to rise. I don't want to over mix this, but at the same time we don't want too many lumps in there. Can you see it? So we're just going to give it a, there we go, any flour that's stuck at the bottom. Pancakes are our normal go-to. So incidentally, this can become a pancake too, by the way. I do have a pancake recipe on my Instagram. I have a lot of recipes on there. If you have any questions on, vegan cooking or vegetarian food. So that is pretty smooth with a few lumps here or there, but actually that is pretty good. Okay, so now is going to come the important part. Let me get rid of these cups. We did put vanilla, didn't we? Yes. Have to double check these things. I know obviously even if you're screaming at me saying yes, I can't hear you. But it's nice to know that you're there. Okay, actually let's get rid of that big plate too. Right, what I'm going to do now is take out the really hot pan that has the butter in it. And what I might do is just get a coaster because it is really hot. And because it's hot, please be careful. You don't want to kind of splatter it. I think what I might do is actually, like I said at the beginning, we might need a little bit more milk. I just want it to be a bit more runny than it is right now. So I'm going to go with a quarter. There. That's it. Just to give it a bit more fluidity, loosen it up a little. One final stir. And then this will go in the oven. For about 15 minutes, I would say. I mean, this will vary on how hot your oven is, how hot it gets, whether you've preheated it. So I really recommend that you preheat the oven and obviously preheat the pan. And cast iron is perfect because it retains the heat. So let's get rid of that. I tried something new yesterday. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but it's the Nootropics coffee. They're basically instant coffee that have herbs like reishi mushrooms. Well, I say herbs, but you know, fungi. So mushrooms, reishi mushroom powder, or ashwagandha, which is a Ayurvedic herb. It's great. Yeah, so ashwagandha is really good because it's known to kind of calm people down, regulate them. And there's lots of other things. Obviously, I'm not a medic or Ayurvedic consultant, so it's probably a good idea to double check on Google or with an Ayurvedic doctor. But I tried that yesterday and it was really, really nice. Okay, so what you want to do is pour that in. You can see it bubbling. I think that should be enough. Oh no, I got rid of my spatula, didn't I? My hands are clean. Always tempted to have this to lick my finger because pancake batter always tastes like cake. Right, so there we go. That is all in there. We're gonna let that go sit in the oven and not disturb it for the next, at least for the next 5 to 10, well, at least for the next 10 minutes. So as you can see, this amount that I've made here, you could make it in a bigger pan, a bigger cast iron, and then it will give you around 2 big Dutch vegan pancakes. Or with the pan that I've got, excuse me, you'll probably get 4 out of this. I would recommend making it in a big one, but what I'm going to do is make some pancakes out of that batter in a bit. So next what we're going to do is just going to tidy up. For 1 second. And we're going to make a jam, compote, jam, little sauce, whatever you want to call it. I'll bring you back here. Is that good? So we're going to start with warming up our pan. And as the pan is getting warmed up, as usual, let me show you what are all the things that we need. We need 2 tablespoons of chia seeds because this is kind of like an instant jam. So this will make it really gelatinous and kind of like that jammy texture. We'll get to that a lot faster, that kind of texture. You're going to need a cup of berries. I've got frozen ones that I didn't really defrost them, but I let them thaw out as we started. Then about a teaspoon of cinnamon. You must have gathered by now that I love cinnamon. And then you need a pinch of salt. And just to flavor it, we're going to put in these are clementines, but orange would have been better. But we're going to work with what we have. And then I'm going to use it, all the fruits are going to be a bit tangy and sweet, so we need to flavor that, make it a little bit sweeter. We're going to use some jaggery. You can use brown sugar, muscovado sugar. I wouldn't recommend things like maple syrup in this because I feel like you need to add a lot of it to bring out the sweet taste. So we're going to go in straight away with the berries. Then we're going to put in the chia seeds straight away. And then as we do that, I'm going to... You can add in orange juice. I've done that in the past where I've added orange juice. So this is literally a tiny little cup. So I would say it's about 4 tablespoons of water because you need the chia to kind of adhere to something. And then you're going to go in with a sugar element straight away. I have it on low heat right now. Obviously, all those fruits are very tangy. So you've got 1. I don't have a massive sweet tooth, but I think you need to balance that out. 2. Yeah, so it's about 2.5 teaspoons of... I put in jaggery because that's what I like the taste of, and it's much more of an unprocessed sugar than cane sugar. It is the first stage. And let's say it has some iron in it too, so it's got good health benefits there. You're going to get the chia seeds sticking everywhere. And we're going to watch this as we go because we want to kind of, see if it's getting too dry and then add more liquid, juice, water, whichever one you prefer. And you'll see that it's going to thicken up thanks to the chia seeds. I'm going to put in the cinnamon in about 2 minutes or so because I want all of the fruits to kind of defrost fully in there. Here we go. I can't live without spatulas. Just make everything so much easier. I think that's one of the staples to have. If you are a student and you're looking at what you need as kitchen staples, you need one good medium-sized spatula, not a tiny one like this. A really good quality wooden spoon. I generally don't like, these are really good quality, but I wish this was made with darker wood because I feel like whenever you're cooking, and always when you're cooking, you're going to make food that's going to be very high in a lot of color, and it kind of tinges the wood, which doesn't look nice. Obviously it's cleaned, you clean it, but it just stains the wood, doesn't it? So I prefer it if it's darker wood. But anyway, coming back to the staples, what you're going to need is a good spatula, a slotted spoon, wooden spoon like that, and then another Where is a plain wooden spoon? Plain wooden spoon like this. A metal spoon. If not, at least 2 tablespoons. And then, I don't know what these are called. So let me recall what they were. I bought these on Amazon a while ago, and I think they use this for fish, to kind of, when they're cooking them, to take them out of the pan without breaking it. But these are the most perfect things I found for pancakes, for dosas, for anything that is very delicate and you want to take it off a hot pan and you don't want to break it. You want to keep the integrity and the shape of that. These are really good. It came as a set at 2. The other one is really big. I don't know if it's in the wash. It may well be. I use these so often. I can't remember what they're called, but these are really handy. They're really, really good. And this one is really, really sturdy, actually. I use it almost every day for something or the other. So as you can see it's already thicker? I can smell the berries. They smell very tangy. I think it could do with some more liquid. So we are, and also you can smell the jaggery cooking. It smells caramelly. My kids don't really like this fruit compote. Well, having said that, my daughter does every now and then. She has it with her yogurt. It's really good with porridge as well. So I can't get to my other jaggery because it's behind where the camera tripod is. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more sweetener. So I'm going to add in some brown sugar. Okay. And this is really fast. Doesn't take long. You just want all the water to kind of boil down. The chia seeds are going to absorb all the water. The fruits are going to break down more. And this is where I will add a tiny bit of salt, which is like a pinch, balances the flavors out, and then cinnamon. Because it just makes everything taste so good. And smell really good when you're cooking. So yeah, you can have this for your porridge, you can have it on your yogurt, pancakes. If you cook it a little bit more, thicken it down a little bit more, which you can do by adding some more chia seed powder, which I've got here. So exactly the same as the flaxseed. I just ground it up. Or to add in some more nutrition, you could go in with some flaxseed powder. I put this in all my cooking. Because you don't taste it, like I said. And it thickens up gravies, sauces like this. You just have to make sure you mix it in because it has a tendency to lump up. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. You want to make sure that it doesn't burn. So if it's catching a little, just give it a stir. You could also, if you're making porridge, halfway through when your porridge is cooked, throw in what I've put in now and cook it. Obviously not as much because it's going to be a bit too sour. But yeah, that's another way of using this. But what I tend to do is just make enough for the day or for the next couple of days, and then we'll make some more when we need it. Because at the end of the day, I've got the frozen berries in the fridge. So you can see that it's, I don't know if you can see it properly. Let me just get the towel. Oh, the pancake is rising really nicely. What I should have done when I made them, when I poured it, is made a little well in the middle. It's fine. Okay. Can you see? It's an instant jam. Obviously you can blend it if you don't like all that texture, but you've really got to have this with peanut butter, and especially if you warm the peanut butter through. Oops. If you warm the peanut butter through, getting too excited and causing accidents in the kitchen. Warm the peanut butter through with some maple syrup or just tiny bit of warm water on a pan. Warm it, then pour it onto your toasted bread along with this. It's really good. I think that Dutch pancake has been in there now for about 10 minutes nearly. I don't want to open the door, but it looks like a little cake is cooking. And it smells like the cake is cooking too. So I think that gives us enough time actually to make a tofu. I'm conscious of the time. I don't want to go over an hour. Also, and it's been a long time since I did my last live, so here it is for December. I'm hoping that in 2024 to do more and more of these. Okay, the color has changed because the fruits are broken down too. The cinnamon also gave it a slight color. Can you see it's a lot thicker? If I carry on cooking this, they're going to break it down even more, obviously, and it's a much thicker texture. And as it cools down, it's going to thicken up too. And if you wanted to loosen it again, you could add a little bit of juice, fruit juice, like orange juice. What I'm going to do here is turn the heat down. Let me just get my knife out. If you wanted to, you can also add the zest of the orange or the lemon. This isn't, I make sure if you're zesting that it's an organic fruit, because otherwise they're all covered in wax and things like that. So, oh my God, look at that. So I would think that's about enough. Okay, we'll take that off the pan. Put the lid on it, let it just simmer its own heat. Let's take this out. Turn the gas off. Right, the next thing we're going to be making, like I said, is a really nice pudding. Actually, let's move that. You don't want to be looking at that. I'll just bring everything back here. It's a mess back there, but it's fine. It is a mess that we've just created. So this is the next one. I'm so excited to make this because it's really, really good. So the sweet dish that I was talking to you about was a silken tofu, and it's called a chocolate mousse, but it's made without any eggs. And there is lots of recipes that are much simpler than this, but I wanted to make it you know, a little bit more kind of substantial in terms of it being tasty, but also really good for us. And I was just thinking about it in terms of if I was giving it to my children, what would I want them to have for the day, at least in terms of nutrient wise. So one of the things, I'm just going to come back to this. Right. You're going to need silken tofu. This is about 349 grams, and the whole lot of it. Basically, it's a lot softer, and it's great to put in to make your sauces, any kind of, I suppose, you know, any kind of sweet things as well. To make anything creamy, this is good to blend up. And I've got some almond milk here. You could use any milk that you like, but I always prefer almond milk because I quite like the taste and the texture of it. I find other milks either very thick, creamy, or heavy. So if you're new to switching over or just want to try a different milk to what you normally have, a lot of people tell me that they love oat milk, and oat milk is a very similar texture to dairy cow's milk. It tastes much fuller in your mouth and it's creamier, so it's a good switch over. It's not going to taste exactly like cow's milk, but it's a good replacement in terms of feeling like you're not missing out too much. There's also cashew milk, which is very thick and very rich as well. There's soya milk, which is great, but I think nowadays soya milk is really good. Coming back. So I've soaked the medjool dates in milk. It's probably been about 2 hours now. You could blend it and keep it. It's a bit like a sticky toffee pudding texture. And then this is raw cacao, which is also great. It has so many health benefits. Go look that up. Full in antioxidants. Then we're going to put chia seeds in there too. So you've got different forms of protein, fiber, lots of things is going in there. And obviously you're going to need a little bit more milk, which I'm going to add, but I'm going to put that into the chia. So that's 2 tablespoons of chia seeds to 1, 2, 3, let's do 6, 4, 5. Let's do 5. That looks like it's enough. And then if we need more, we can always add more. Okay, just going to quickly give my little whisk a wash. So you could keep this as it is, like this, with these ingredients, and then top it up with any fruits that you like. I'm going to be adding blueberries, but you can easily put the blueberries into this, or any fruits into this. Just giving that a whisk, and just going to check on that pancake. I'm going to open it and see. Oh, that looks really good. You just want to make sure. So essentially you don't have to over whisk it here, but I just don't like to see the lumps in there. Probably would annoy me. So you're going to go in. Can you see? You're going to go in with your chia seeds. Let me take out my spatula again. So go in with the chia seed liquid there. Then we're going to do the dates right there. Then we're going to go in with it. This is about 1.5 tablespoons of cacao. So there is a difference between cocoa and cacao. Cocoa powder is not the purest form of chocolate, whereas this is. And it's literally the powder form of the pod, which is why it's really rich and high in a lot of nutrients and antioxidants. Just looking for some scissors. You know, I was so prepared today that I've got a little, I feel like I'm in Blue Peter. I've got a little table of, or even home ec. You know, when you used to cook in school. I don't know if they still do that now. I know my children don't have it, and they really want to have like home ec in their school. But you know, you'd keep everything prepared and ready. So when you open this up, there is liquid, slight amount of liquid in there. It's totally fine. It doesn't matter. You want that anyway. It's just a bit of water. Right. Okay. So that is in there. Sorry. Let's get rid of this one before I break something else. Gonna need this spatula, no doubt. Right, and I'm gonna need one of those cups just to keep my dirty spatula in. Okay, but it's not dirty, you know what I mean. So this is where we are right now. In there is our de-seeded dates, and we've got our, so that's our form of sweetener. You can put in something else to sweeten it, but I think the dates will be so good in there. And this is, as you would expect it. There are lots of different recipes, like I said, but this is the food hoodgie version of it. Then you've got the whole block of tofu, then cacao powder, the milk, and then the chia seeds. The milk is almond milk, and actually there are two types of almond milk that I use. My favorite one, it's really not sponsored, is this. I feel like they should, because I go hunting for this everywhere. I go hunting for this everywhere. Yes, James, I have washed my hands. They may not look like it, but you know, they are clean. They're clean and they are covered in food. But I tell you, this food is really tasty. Okay, where was I? So that's what we're gonna do, and you can stop right here, and then you can put them into little ramekins and put them in the fridge. Leave them to set for at least half an hour, because that chia seed is going to soak in everything and it's going to make it a bit more jelly-like. It's so good. If you leave it longer, it tastes better. And the next step is that if you want to make it a little bit richer, is you're going to add in the chocolate. I know I'm pointing here, but it's not here yet. I'm going to melt a little bit of chocolate in a tiny bit more milk. We're not going to double boiler it. And then let it cool down and add it to this. So, right, in the next couple of seconds, this is going to sound extremely noisy, so be prepared. Maybe mute your phones. I don't know how this is going to be. Right, so I'm going to just pause because I just want to make sure that everything is a little bit. Then I'm gonna go with a low. So while that is happening, I'm gonna go and check the pancake. Oh wow, that is ready. So as you can see, there are still little flecks here. I want it completely smooth. And yeah, a lot of sound effects for you today. So this looks like a cake. So next time what I'm going to do when I make this is probably use less spelt flour. It's going to rise more and then make a little well, so it encourages it to kind of go up on the sides. So this is ready, and they usually serve it, like I said, with some berries or nothing actually. and they just dust on some sugar, which, who doesn't love a bit of sugar? Okay, like so. I think I've covered the handle with sugar. So there, it looks like that. And I'm going to, right, let's put it here so you can see it. Move my blender. Okay, this is what happens when you get really excited that something has worked out well. So I know what I'm going to do differently next time to make it rise a whole lot more. Usually you just eat it straight out of here. The pan is very hot. Shall I? What did you get? While that is happening, I'm going to get some chocolate. So because I want my kids to eat this now, today, I'm just gonna make it really quickly. So this is 85% chocolate. I have the basically 100% chocolate buttons that I'm gonna have to add more sweetener, and I feel like this. So how much chocolate am I adding to this? This is a 50 grams of chocolate. Usually the best thing to have done would have been to chop this chocolate up into tiny equal sizes, and melt it with a little bit of milk, or double boiler it, but I don't know why I'm kind of winging everything today. So let's come back to, you can see the pan. Gonna turn the heat down a little. Get out a new spatula. This is actually a really delicious way to make hot chocolate too. You need to add full 100 grams of chocolate, then you add a cup and a half of milk, and you let that slowly boil down so the chocolate melts really nicely. Then you put in a sprinkle of salt, which I'm going to do in a minute, and because I remember, I'm just going to put the salt here so I don't forget. I don't want to add it into the milk because what it's going to do is kind of curdle it sometimes. Do you know it would be really interesting to study food chemistry? And I think this is why I struggle with baking, because there's so much exact science in it that I've got to say I'm not bad, but tooting my own horn, I know. Talk about being humble, but I'm not the baker. I think I would call myself more a cook than a baker. Okay, the chocolate has melted and it is burning a little bit at the bottom, so we're gonna just turn it off. Oh, sorry, knocked you there. And yeah, so like I was saying, you can make this into a hot chocolate that's really, really rich. So I can't remember what the restaurant's called, but it was really, I think it still is. It's really famous. It's in Barcelona. They make the most, and it's like in the middle of, not in the middle, it's like in a really random spot, but I think those kind of places often are. They are famous because they're tiny spots and they do what they do really well, and the word kind of spreads. So anyway, going back to this, so yeah, let me put it off the stove there because it's going to split otherwise. A little bit more milk. Yeah, so this really amazing place, not Barcelona, Madrid, sorry, Madrid. In Madrid, it was so amazing. It was so rich. I wasn't quite ready for it. I remember reading before I went, and I thought, I've really got to go there. They made the best churros, and with the churros, they gave a little cup of hot chocolate sauce, and everybody was like, what you've really got to go there for is the hot chocolate sauce. The churros are amazing, but that's what they kind of became really well known for. If anybody is watching this later and can remember or know this place, the name, can you please tell me? Because that'll save me a Google exercise. But yeah, it was so amazing. It was literally a cup of hot chocolate. And ever since then, I've been obsessed every now and then of making this, which, so you add a whole 100 grams of the chocolate to about a cup and a half of a milk of your choice. I usually go for the almond milk, but oat milk is probably really good because it's very rich. And then as the chocolate is all melted, what you're going to do is put in a dash of cinnamon, and you sprinkle on a little bit of salt and a little bit of sugar, depending on how sweet your chocolate already is. And when I say a little bit, I just mean a little bit on top, so you just get a bit of the crunch of the sugar. So the brown sugar would be perfect for that. And it's so nice. You literally, it's almost like you eat it with a spoon as opposed to drinking it with, well, drinking it. Okay. So that is ready. Okay. We're just going to, almost looks like I'm tempering it, doesn't it? So once this is a little bit cooler, I should have done this earlier when we were talking. Got too excited with the kids trying it. Just gonna see if it's hot. Oh, that's so nice. Right, I'm just gonna wash my hands. And then I'm going to show you something that I've basically absolutely love, and I bought so many of those. So my kids really love goop hoods, and we have a ton of these containers, and I used to just keep them because I felt really bad throwing them away. I would just keep them. And I saw somewhere, like I saw on the internet that people were using Pringle boxes, and the lids to the Pringle containers are perfect fit for these. But we don't really eat many Pringles, so to be able to cover just one isn't enough, because I have so many, and they're perfect because you can put so many things in them. Like, I make myself mud masks and things for my face and put it in this and put it in the fridge. It's perfect. And these, you can just they are leak proof. You just seal them in like that, and it's amazing. It's like you've got a whole new dish. Getting really excited over this. So it's really good for that. I will link it in my bio. And what I tend to make is chia pudding for my daughter in this, so that she has one serving, so she has that. Okay. I'm going to get rid of my mixer. This could probably do with one more blend, but let's just save all that blending, shall we? A little bit of texture is always good. I say that, but there are some things that I love smooth, and some things I like with a bit of crunch, and this is one of those that needs to be really smooth. Okay, so that is off, and this is what the pudding looks like. And then let me see if the the chocolate has cooled, which it has. I'll bring it here so you can see, and we're just going to pour in the chocolate. So this is why I said you could stop it just that without making this hot chocolate element part, melting the chocolate, but really it tastes so much better with this. It tastes like the proper chocolate mousse that you get from the supermarkets. Okay, you should really, not could, you should just blend it like this in the blender. How satisfying is that? And I think this will be about 6 to 7 pots. And what I like to serve them with is hemp seeds, which again are really good because it's got a lot of fiber in it, protein as well, I think. But yeah, they taste really good. You can also put it in there and blend it. It makes it really creamy, but you should pre-soak this in the milk. So when you're doing the dates, soak this in too. I think it's always worth it when you take that little bit more extra time when you're cooking, because, well, your body is your temple. And it's just, gotta say, because I came on here late, I got a little bit stressed. I felt bad that I was coming on so late. But since we've been cooking, it just feels so much calmer. It's just so nice. Yeah, so like I said, if you're doing this, put it in the blender, blend it so you don't have to do this manually. Right, so shall we see if we can get that menu shot? I don't know what you can. Can we? Let's see. Let's improvise a little. Let's have you join me as I would do normally when I'm doing my posts and improvising with the equipment. So you've got that there. Yeah, I did put my finger in there. Oh my god, that is so nice. And you can just put it in the fridge. It's ready to go. And with the next one, you can, if you wanted to, add in that fruit compote that we made. Ah, okay, that's like my blind spot. Okay. Probably is a bit too much. Oh, I can't put the lid on that now, can I? So we'll just have to eat it. You can drizzle on some maple syrup. I love maple syrup. I don't know how many times I've said maple syrup today. Pistachios, like I said, blueberries, and there you have it. That's everything. That is your tofu pudding with chocolate. Do you know what else is really amazing in here? Bananas, blended. They're so good. It's almost like a little smoothie. Avocados, blended, are really good too. So yeah, you could, if you find that your avocado is a bit too brown to make into a guacamole, put it into something like this. It's perfect. And then you just fridge it up and it's ready for tomorrow, or if you have a load of guests coming, it's all there, put in the fridge, better eaten cold. It's really nice. Let me show you the texture. Only because I really just want to try a little bit with the berries. It's really velvety. It's really delectable. Looks tasty, doesn't it? Oh wow, that's really nice. I think if I was making this for a whole load of people, I would add a bit more sweetener in this. But for me and for us in our family, this is perfect. It's sweet enough. And blending the dates in there really gives it like this toffee pudding texture. It's really, really nice. It's really filling too. And that's it. So thank you very much for joining me. And hopefully I'll come back soon with a live on time. We'll be punctual. And that's it. So what did we make today? We made the Dutch vegan pancakes with the berry compote, and then we made the tofu pudding too, tofu chocolate pudding, or rather we could just call it a mousse, keep it simple, right? Also, I forgot to add the vanilla in here, but if you add the vanilla, it's really, really nice. You don't have to. So that's it. So thanks a lot for joining, and see you all again soon. And if you have any questions, just message me in terms of, you know, what's a good replacement for what, or what do you recommend? Because I get those kind of questions all the time. But I do tend to reply. So yeah, but usually on Instagram. So message me on there and I'll get back to you when I can. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest. I think I'm getting hungry. Have a great rest of the Sunday and a wonderful week ahead. And that's it. Thank you for joining. Bye.